With his refurbished shooting skills, Freddy was able to blast the Lever brothers to smithereens. Now, with those varmints out of the way, Freddy figured that was the end of the story, that somehow the Lever brothers was responsible for everything that had been going on in town. But Freddy was wrong. The Lever brothers had been hired for the task of getting rid of Freddy by whomever had hired the cowhands, and whomever was in cahoots with Sheriff Shift and P.H. Balance. And no sooner had Freddy's guns stopped smoking than he heard a familiar twang and a few chords of someone's theme music.
What was that? Could it be? No. What would he be doing way out here in the middle of nowhere? You haven't heard that chord in years, and yet here it is again, strangely recognizable after all this time. In your heart you know it must be him, and yet. How did he find you? Will he be fooled by your disguise? Does he still eat paste?
Kid, I want you out of town by sundown.
Well, sure, stranger. I'll be riding out of town well before sundown, leaving your sorry carcass for the buzzards to pick apart.
Will not.
Will two.
Not.
Two.
N.
E.
I refuse to play this juvenile word game with you.
I refuse to play this juvenile word game with you.
What are you doing now, repeating everything I say?
What are you doing now, repeating everything I say?
So that's why they call you Kenny the Kid. Because you are nothing but an immature little child, an anal-retentive case of arrested development, with an unresolved edible complex and probably codependent to boot. You were a punk when I faced you back in St. Louis, and you're still a punk. Say your prayers, outlaw.
Say your prayers, outlaw.
Now, cut that out.
St. Louis? I didn't know anybody with a silver ear in St. Louis. Yet, somehow you seem vaguely familiar.
Maybe we'll have time to compare yearbook photos. In hell!
Well, you may have knocked the gun out of my hand, hero, but you couldn't stop me from hitting you anyway. Sorry I got a mite sloppy when I pierced your ear. Looks like you'll bleed to death in a few seconds. Guess now I can tell Penelope that you won't be interfering with her plans anymore.
Penelope?
What did he say? Your head's swimming, but you're sure he said Penelope. Could it be her? Could she be the cause of all this?
Score!
You weakly pull the neckerchief from around your neck.
Score!
You place your lucky neckerchief on your ear and press on it to staunch the flow of blood. With your last remaining ounce of strength, you pull yourself up and stumble off towards the schoolhouse to see Penelope.
Penelope. Penelope the sweet. Penelope my beloved. Penelope the traitor.
Freddy dragged his bleeding self over to the schoolhouse. The anger and hurt was just ripping at his gut like a swarm of botflies on roadkill. Only worse, 'cause Freddy, unlike roadkill, was still alive. The schoolhouse door was unlocked for once, and Freddy walked right on in. When Freddy stepped inside, Penelope was standing at the desk, packing in a hurry. She didn't even notice him come in. Gazing at her like that, Freddy saw her for the conniving snake in the grass she really was. All the bitter hurt and betrayal and rage was too much for Freddy to hold down. It churned around inside of him and finally welled up, bubbling to the surface in a furious storm of outrage.
Hey, Penelope, what gives?
Oh! Why, it's you. The silver handsome-eared stranger.
Handsome silver-eared stranger, you mean?
Oh, right. I thought Kenny had taken care of you.
Ha ha ha! Are you kidding? He did just the opposite. He hurt me. Just look at my ear.
Why, you poor man. You poor, brave cowboy. You're wounded. Here, allow me to tear a strip off my undergarment.
Penelope slowly moved her hands up to her bodice and began to carefully unbutton it, one button at a time, staring straight into Freddy's eyes.
You know, ever since I saw you capture that big, bad gambler at the saloon, I've been thinking about you. Thinking about how I wanted you.
She slowly slipped her hands under the fabric.
Could this be my Penelope? Is it hot in here? Or is it just me? And what's with all this echo?
Thinking about how I needed you.
And before Freddy knew it, Penelope yanked a derringer from her bosom and aimed it at him.
Dead, that is. Drop him, gunslinger. Now!
You resignedly unbuckle your holsters, letting your gun slip to the floor. Penelope appears to relax a little, but her finger is still on the trigger of the derringer. Looks like she might shoot at any moment.
Score!
You grab the slate and whip it around just in the nick of time. As you bend down to pick up your gun belt, Penelope hurls the derringer straight at your head.